Hey girl, real quick. I'm so excited about the new habit-based fitness app I just launched, and I want to invite you to come check it out because I know it will finally help you stay consistent and see and feel results. The programming was created with you in mind. Come get a free 7-day trial inside of the Training for Life app at trainingforlifeapp.com. I can't wait to see you in there. Okay, let's get into the show. Hey girl, if you're done with dieting and the constant starting and stopping of your healthy habits because, well, life, and you'd rather find a way to train for life instead, then you're in the right place. Hey, I'm Emily, habit and fitness coach and midlife boy mom. I've gone from frustrated dieter to now consistently and confidently living a healthy lifestyle, following the habit hacking systems that I'm now going to teach you. Think of this as atomic habits for women. I'm now helping other midlife moms like you feel and look good in their favorite leggings through all seasons of life, following my habit-based fitness programming. No more dieting, my friend, just training for life. So are you ready to habit hack your health? Then let's do this. You're listening to episode 282 of Habit Hack Your Health. Hey friend, welcome back to the show. Oh goodness, am I excited for you to hear from our guest today. Carl Daikeler of BODI, formerly Beachbody, is chatting with us today about the fitness trends and quick fixes we've all seen come and go, but more importantly, how to create a lifestyle via sustainable habits. I love it. And spoiler alert, I do go there and ask Carl all about the recent changes at BODI, going from a network marketing model to an affiliate model. So let me tell you about Carl. Carl Daikeler is a visionary entrepreneur and the CEO and co-founder of the Beachbody company, leading innovator in the fitness and nutrition space. With a career spanning over 4 decades, Daikeler has been a trailblazer, pioneering unconventional and highly effective methods to help individuals reach their health and fitness goals. Carl co-founded Beachbody in 1998, now known as BODI, which has expanded into a powerhouse of fitness and nutrition tools using his leadership over the last 26 years. The brand is celebrated for its iconic programs such as P90X, my personal favorite, Insanity, and 21 Day Fix, and its profound impact on millions worldwide. Now, I think if I was to do a poll with you, my audience, and ask who has done a BODI workout before or Beachbody, I would assume about probably 85% or more of you would say yes. When I started my own healthy habit journey back in 2015, it started with Insanity Max 30. And why in the world would I start with such a challenging program? Well, I was craving a challenge, which still happens to this day for me, and something Carl and I chat about in this episode. The convenience and variety of the workouts created an easier way for me to get into a fitness routine, especially as a busy working mom when my kiddos were little. They're 16 and 13 now, and I still do at-home workouts and go to the gym. I have a little more flexibility since they're older. After I completed 30 days of Insanity Max 30, I felt on fire for fitness. The momentum, the snowball, everything was rolling, and I wanted to be able to give that feeling to other moms like myself. And becoming an Insanity instructor was one of the very first formats I was ever certified in. And I continued to follow some Beachbody strength training programs at the time with my girlfriends, and we would actually meet at each other's homes. One of my girls had an immaculate garage. We would meet in their basements and do these workouts together. And I know some of my girlfriends still do BODI workouts today, and it works great for their lifestyle, and I'm so proud of them for that. And that's another reason why I created my Training for Life app, to give you a way to work out from home or the gym if you wish, with some habit-based fitness programming. So it's niched down and catered toward what midlife moms need. Now remember, you can go get a sneak peek of the app at bit.ly/trainingforlife sneak peek. It's also linked in the show notes for you. Now, there has to be a mindset shift in our culture from quick fixes to sustainable habits. And that's what we talk about here, right? No dieting, just training for life. And that's what you're going to hear from Carl today, which I think is great to hear from the male perspective and from someone who's been in the fitness industry for decades, really. We chat everything from GLP-1s, why Insanity Max 30 worked for me, and even more about getting uncomfortable and doing hard things and building confidence in yourself via fitness, but in a sustainable way. I know you're going to really enjoy this conversation. As always, make sure to stay to the end. I'll have my 3 biggest takeaways for you. Okay, let's go talk to Carl Daikeler from BODI. Okay, friends, thank you so much again for tuning in to Habit Hack Your Health. Y'all, we are in for a special treat. We have Carl Daikeler here from BODI. Carl, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me on, Emily.
Well, we're going to jump right in. The first question I ask every guest is, what is your favorite habit hack? Like, what habit or hack is saving your life right now?
Mm. Um, there's a lot of them. And I promise this isn't a commercial, but about a year ago, I realized that I was struggling with like 5 pounds. So wasn't in bad shape, 60 years old. And but it's just like 5 pounds. And like I could tell if it was going up, like just a couple drinks or like a weekend meal. And it's like, what? Why won't this go down? And I made a change, and my change was to breakfast.
Mm,
I was having a normal sort of breakfast, kind of healthy. But so I was having breakfast, and then a couple hours later, I was having this superfood health shake that we have at BODI called Shakeology. And then I was having lunch, and then I was having dinner. What I realized was I didn't really need that breakfast. So I'm not a big intermittent fasting kind of person. I'm pretty hungry when I wake up. So, but what I did was I just beefed up the way I produced the shake. So like normally it's I'll have a chocolate shake with some almond milk and some water and some fiber. But then what I did was added like literally this much baby spinach
I love
and a greens boost and collagen and a banana and an egg, raw egg.
that.
And I have that, throughout my morning. I don't rush it down, like I take it with me. And that 5 pounds went away. And I have been in a healthy, lean state for the last year with no effort, which is like a brand new thing. So that's my favorite reliable go-to.
I love that. Just a small little tweak can make a big difference for
Yeah,
sure.
you're sort of brainwashed into this 3 meals a day thing. And but then you're hearing about intermittent fasting. Like I tried intermittent fasting, and all that meant was focused binging at lunch because I was starving. So I was eating everything. I was like, well, I didn't have anything all day so far. And I was eating at least 30% more than when I was having that third meal. So that didn't work for me. And this just keeps my tempo. I know my portions, and it just works.
I love that so much. I love that. Well, Carl, if anyone's been living under a rock and they're like, what is body or beach body? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and kind of, briefly your story as far as what's led you to where you are today?
Yeah. Okay. I'll do the short version.
Sure.
Um, I, you know, Beachbody was a company created out of some expertise that I had and experience that I had creating products for infomercial companies. And for a prior company, I created something called 8 Minute Abs, a little video that I needed personally because I was not consistent. And that seems to be sort of the theme of my career is when I have a personal block, I'm like, okay, how can I solve this problem? I'm like, oh, this could work for everybody. And I knew I was never going to pay for a trainer, and I've joined every gym and never gone. So I'm like, I know that's not working. So I thought, all right, if I could just work out for 8 minutes a morning, maybe I'll stop being so much of a slob. And so that video was a big success. That was like in the mid 90s. And I wanted to do more of it. My partner in that business didn't really want to do product development. So we went our separate ways and I started up Beachbody. And Beachbody has really been variations on this theme. The big breakout, famous one was P90X, which we developed when my partner and I were turning 40. And he and I were both like, I never had abs in my life, like really got ripped, like you see on the cover of Men's Fitness, right? And I was like, what would that take? So we had done this program, Power 90, and we said, what if we took it to the next level? Power 90 Extreme. That became P90X, another 90-day program, and we got super ripped. And that is what led to really the evolution of Beachbody building this library of over 130 step-by-step programs plus nutrition plans um, that has helped millions of people and generated billions of dollars of sales. And but it really comes down to now just this variation of like, you know, habit hacking, right? So how do you help? Like who we're not trying to help, Emily, is the people who naturally go to the gym or who spring out of bed and go, oh my gosh, I can't wait to do my hour and a half of yoga today. That was my mom. That was never me. And so I need a step-by-step program with a near-term goal that keeps me on track. And it looks like millions of other people need that. And that's who we cater to. We renamed Beachbody to BODI, which is BODI, because Beachbody was really signaling a physical or vanity aspiration. And we didn't want that to be the only thing that people thought about these programs. So, for instance, we did a deal with the American Diabetes Association to help their members access reasonable fitness, a reasonable fitness schedule, content, trainers coming right through your TV or computer, and meal plans that help them control their intake of sugar and manage their insulin levels. And it's been something really meaningful. Been around 26 years, and I think the best days are ahead of us.
That's really cool. And like I mentioned before we recorded, I'm like an OG Insanity Max 30 girl. Like I became an insanity instructor after I did the program. But what made it so manageable for me is I was getting up, it was 30 minutes. I could pop it in my DVD player back before we were streaming things and before my kids got up for school. So I was
Yeah.
able to sweat it out, work out. I was already drinking coffee by the time the kids came up. And for me, it was great because I was able to play, do my workout, and go about the rest of my day as a busy working mom. And that's what really clicked for me was this is how you do it. This is the plan you follow. Bada bing, bada boom. And it just snowballed from there. I was like, well, what else can I do? And it really just gave me a lot of momentum into what I'm doing today, honestly.
How did you do that? Like Insanity Max 30 is hardcore of hardcore.
Yeah.
Just for the audience, Insanity Max 30, if you go to YouTube, the body channel, BODI, there's a workout there for Insanity Max 30. And it's the number one body workout on our YouTube channel. It's free.
Yeah.
And the premise of that program, because people know Insanity, the original Insanity, we thought, okay, how do we limit the time but keep it insane? And that was, okay, we're going to go hardcore, like barely a warm up. The warm up is as hard as Insanity, but the goal is to maintain your intensity almost at a sprint, top level, until you can't anymore for 30 minutes. And that's when you mark your time. And the goal is at the end of at the end of the program, you've hopefully extended your time to be able to go to your max to the full 30 minutes. I have to admit, I've never ever been able to do that. How did you do it?
Man, for me, it was like, okay, I don't have to buy any equipment. Great. This is going to be really simple. I can literally go downstairs, put my workout clothes on. I would always lay them out as a cue for me to like, I'm going to go spend 30 minutes with Sean T. And for me, I was like, I want to do something to challenge myself mentally. Obviously, it was a challenge physically, but mentally. But I loved being able to track my time. I think I got close to 30 minutes near the end, but I think a lot of it depended on if my kids were up. Sometimes my kids would get up and they're sitting there watching me do max 30. It's so fun seeing time hop videos come up and me
Yeah,
working out. And now they're teenagers and they would never get up that early and watch me work out. But for me, it was about tracking and seeing that time go up and just building consistency because I didn't want to miss a day. I didn't want to watch my endurance go down. And for me, it was very empowering to do something for myself as a mom and to be able to watch
that's
that
amazing.
progress too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Every once in a while I'll pull it out every once in a while, but that's interesting. It's the number one program there on YouTube.
Well, it's for some reason on on YouTube. That's a go-to,
Yeah.
and it's like got over, I don't know, 1.5 million views or something.
Yeah.
And we've got other ones that are very popular on there.
Sure.
For Beginners Only is a program, so that's much less intense for people who want no impact. Some of the There's a P90X workout that does well. Sean T is just super popular there. The sample workout from Dig Deeper, which is his lifting program, T25, which is just 25 minutes. And the reason that we put the content up on YouTube was so that people could sample the workouts and see which one is going to appeal to them, which one is going to be the one that they want to do the full program. And so it's a sort of, we call it body previews, and then people come in and they do the full program when they sign up for body.
That's great. That's great. I know when I was teaching Insanity, a lot of people started turning to Body to download it. And sometimes I think they were like, well, I'm going to try something else, but Insanity. But thank you so much for introducing me to that.
That's
I'm
awesome.
sure you've seen a lot of trends with health and wellness come and go. And I'm really interested on your take since you've been in this industry a while on some hot topics like GLP-1s, hormone health. I know the ladies in my audience are really interested in that. So I'd love to hear your take on that, Carl, and why you feel like these trends are popping up. What do you think of them? Where do you think they're going and so forth?
Well, look, GLP-1s and semaglutides, as they're called, were created for really diabetics to help them manage a situation that can be life-threatening, can threaten their quality of life. Their vision can go if they get diabetes uncontrolled. They can lose limbs because their circulation uh, gets in real trouble, right? So that's what it was meant for. But then all of a sudden, people were like, "Oh, wait a minute! This appetite suppressant that's happening could be good to help me just lose that stubborn 20 pounds or whatever." Or people who have a real hard time with self-discipline around food. So it can be helpful for people, but as a company, our position is always that lifestyle should come first. If you're getting bariatric surgery or doing a GLP-1, whatever it is, it has to be accompanied with lifestyle. Otherwise, you're solving the outward problem, but you're exacerbating the inward problem. So people who, for instance, are taking a GLP-1 and they're losing, you can even see it in the claims that the companies make, is you will lose X percentage of your body weight. They're not saying fat. They're saying your body weight, which means you're losing muscle. And losing muscle has the consequence of undermining your metabolism and so many other things that muscle, as you age, can enable. And I think you're hastening your aging if you're not managing lifestyle, how you eat, what your mentality is around what you eat, and lifting and cardio, so that the whole machine works well. People take such good care of their cars. They wouldn't inflict a drug on their car if it meant that their car wouldn't run well, right? Like if there was just something, hey, I'm going to put these tires on it, but it's not going to drive so good, but they're cool tires. You just wouldn't do it because you need to get somewhere safely. We can't do that to our health either. So as a company, we actually, through the relationship that we have with the American Diabetes Association and relationships we have even with drug makers, we promote the healthy lifestyle side of this thing. Does not mean you need to become a gym rat. Doesn't mean you need to become a health freak. I still have my pizza. I still have my burgers. I still have my beers. Um, but you do it in a way where it's manageable so that your overall health and well-being is what they call table stakes, foundational to everything else that goes on, because that's where your quality of life comes from. So that's my position on it, and that's what we try to promote as a company.
Yeah. So no quick fixes, right? Like if this is something someone needs as an aid to help them, great. But what about all of your other lifestyle choices? Because it could all just crumble if you don't have those keystone habits in place.
Well, it's going to undermine if you don't have those habits in place. You're going to be the first one in the neighborhood who needs a scooter to get around. You're going to be afraid of cracks in the sidewalk.
Yeah.
You're not going to fit in a theater seat on Broadway or on a ride at Disney
Mhm.
because your metabolism fell apart and your clothes don't fit. You know what I'm saying? And again, I don't say that with judgment. I say that with the reality
Mhm.
and the passion for people to have lives that are meaningful, that are experiences, not just screens and entertainment and comfort. Um, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with entertainment and fun, but look, both of my parents are in assisted living facilities, and I go visit them, and to watch the fear that people have and frankly the sadness that they have because they are so afraid of the floor, or the stairs, or they're so bored because they can't get around, so everything is in a chair at a table, like their whole lives are in a chair at a table or in front of a screen. And um, and I want to help, if it's possible, to motivate people to prioritize resisting that by living things and remembering what it was like to be a kid and be in touch with the earth and get outside and to wake up and move your body in some way as a requirement before you get on Instagram and social media. You need to just do something to move and make some choice that signals to your whole being and your family around you, my health and well-being and quality of life is important to me. And
Mm.
I'm showing this to my kids and I'm showing this to the people around me. That's what we're trying to motivate.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that, Carl. That reminds me of a quote. I always look up a quote of the day before I teach a group fitness class just to kind of give everyone a theme. And just yesterday I shared this. I said, being alive is nothing without being able to live.
Mm.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's that training for life mentality. Like for me,
Yeah.
like when I'm lifting weights, I'm like, I want to be a strong grandma someday. I want to go like explore cool places with my husband and do all these cool things as we age and be able to have the energy that I need today to keep up with my teenagers and our dogs and our busy, busy lives.
Yeah.
And I think, we need to think about sustainability and what we're doing now, even if it's tiny, how that can impact us in the future. And I know for me, it started out with working out from home because that's what I could do. And that was sustainable for me. What are
Yeah.
some other sustainable methods you're seeing out there that people are utilizing or you yourself personally are utilizing to sustain your health and have that training for life mentality?
Yeah. When you asked me that first question, the other thing, other than the shake, that I would have said was something that I read. I can't remember the book now. It was like called The Comfort Crisis, I think, which talks about like we're seeking comfort so much
Mhm.
that we're progressively narrowing. Would narrow. Oop, that's a little discomfort. So just narrow. And it becomes this little petri dish of what can remain comfortable. And so I have this philosophy that I have to seek and be comfortable with discomfort and it can be on a very limited basis, but if by seeking some discomfort every day. I don't like lifting weights. I can't stand it. Like I really get no joy from lifting weights. But I know that 20 minutes, 30 minutes of lifting weights is giving me days of comfort because I moved up my my threshold for discomfort, if that makes sense, my pain threshold, right? And so the other thing I was going to say is like every morning, unless I'm feeling perhaps that I might be getting sick or something, I will cold plunge, and I hate it. Like it is the first thing I do after I'll have a big glass of water when I wake up. Squeeze some lemon in that, helps alkalinize the body, and then out to the cold plunge for 3.5 minutes. And it's brutal and awful, particularly in the winter. But when I get done it, I feel supercharged. And if I'm traveling or something, it's 2 minutes in a cold shower. And that is the kind of thing that just reminds me, invigorates me that I have the potential to manage discomfort and to bring myself alive and get that adrenaline rush. And I think that's what makes life interesting.
Mm.
Um, it's not the TV series that I'm following. It's not the book that I'm reading. It's not even the success of work. It's that ability to confront things in life and and I did that, right? That's why I said, when we create a fitness program at Body, like one of the biggest ones we ever did was called 21 Day Fix. And people said, even in the company, they're like, that's 21-day program. Nobody's going to get results in 21 days. I was like, well, that's not the point. The point is, if they can finish 21 days, that means they can do it again. And they're going to, for maybe the first time, like how many times did people start, January 1st, New Year's resolution, join a gym, and not even make it 3 weeks in creating that habit? But if you do a program like a 21-day fix or a Slim in 6, which is a 6-week program, morning meltdown 100 workouts. If I have that objective, I can keep going. I don't need to worry about the rest of my life. So for me, I don't negotiate with myself with these things. I'm going to have my shake in the morning. I'm going to do my cold plunge. I'm going to do that workout. And I don't allow myself to break that deal with myself. And that's a game changer for people.
Yeah. And I think the more you get comfortable being uncomfortable, the more you crave it. Like you seek out ways to challenge yourself. My husband and I are big cold plungers. We live in the Midwest here in Indy. It's like 20 degrees today. It's freezing. And we have a pool. And some mornings we'll open it up and we have an old hockey stick and we'll just bang the ice to get it and
Oh
just
my
mentally
gosh.
banging the ice. I'm out there in a robe and just banging the ice. I'm just like, why am I doing this? This is so dumb. I hate this. Why am I doing this? I get in, I sink down to my shoulders and I'm like, oh, and then you just kind of,
Yeah. Yeah.
once you're in there. And then when you get out, you're like, I feel freaking amazing. What else can I do? How
So
else can
how long do you sit in that water?
I do 3 minutes, 3 minutes.
Good for you.
My
Wow.
husband's an animal. He can do 5 minutes or so. He's just so mentally tough. But, I find, even when I coach fitness classes, like we'll see someone, they're on a treadmill and they add extra incline. They're like, wow, that was really scary, but I did it. And that applies to real life though, too. It's showing yourself you can do hard things. And that's way more sustainable and building confidence in yourself versus always starting and stopping, and building confidence in yourself can become a habit. And I know I personally seek out stuff like that. Like I've been doing the stair stepper lately just because I'm like, oh, that's awful. But it's been challenging my mind lately too.
Yeah. Well, like when I'm lifting, I particularly when it's around curls, but sometimes about chest press, I'll be negotiating what weight I'm going to grab.
Yeah.
And like I'll look at like doing curls, I'll like look at the 30s and I'll be like, can I do a set with 30s? And then I'll do it. I'm like, oh, I did it. My elbows didn't break. And I'm like, the next set, could I possibly do a set with 35s? And I'll try it and it's awkward and uncomfortable, but I did it. And the last weekend I grabbed 55s to do my bench press, these 255, and I could barely get them up,
Yeah.
uh, and but it's something about building building the mental muscle to
Hmm.
push yourself to do that incline,
Mhm.
that's a skill. I don't think many people are born with that. And I think we need more people like you who are advocating that for people and showing them what's possible and saying this is a part of life, is trying to push yourself. We all get a limited amount of time. And the one thing you don't get back is time. So what you want to do is try to extend the time and the quality of life that you can have with that time. And that requires some sacrifice and some pain in the moment now to be able to extend that. And that's what's so cool about what you're doing with this podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's definitely a muscle. Like you said, you have to work, and you're literally creating a habit of doing hard things and changing the neural pathways. Because on the other side, it's kind of like exercise. The more you do it, you produce all these happy hormones, and then you just crave it, and then you just do it, and then you don't have to think about doing it,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Well, I want to ask you just one or two more questions, Carl, and I'll wrap up here. I want to address the recent shift with Body to remove the network marketing side of the business, because I think this is probably like a really hard decision you all had to make, doing hard things
Big
again,
time. Yeah.
as the wellness industry has been shifting over the years. I'm wondering if you could share more about what led to this shift.
Yeah. It was really an imperative for us. Um, I love the people who built that network, the coaches, we would call them, and later we called them partners. Um, like these are amazing people, and they achieved outrageous things. Something after the pandemic, prior to the pandemic, we managed to, what I think is, overcome the stigma of multi-level marketing because people were getting such incredible results, and this feeling of community was so rich that and meaningful in people's lives, that you didn't feel like you were a part of something that was what they would call a pyramid, right? That you were getting used. Something after the pandemic switched. And I read a survey months ago that said that 90% of the adult population will not even answer the phone if they think it's related to a network marketing business. Well, my job is not to run a network marketing company. My job is to help people achieve their health and fitness goals. So if it's possible that we are now, by the nature of our business model, multi-level marketing, restricting ourselves from 90% of the population, that's a real problem. And what we were finding was in surveys, even when we talked to our coaches, that over 75% of them were saying to us, I have no interest in recruiting people and running a team. So so I've got 90% of the population doesn't want to hear from us because of the multi-level marketing business. And 75% of the people in the marketing level paying to be a part of the multi-level are never going to participate in the multi-level marketing business, but they are paying. So 50% of the commission that they were generating from their sales was getting paid up line. That just didn't seem fair anymore. So those sort of three strikes. So we made a very difficult decision. We tried to give, this is the kind of news you can't break. It's never easy to break this kind of news. Maybe we didn't do it that artfully. So that created some anger, a lot of anger for people who were so invested and were really doing incredible things. And their intent was beautiful. But ultimately, I want to reach 10 million people or tens of millions of people. And we just haven't seen it expanding over the last 2 years. And my job is to run a business that's expanding so that we're serving more people. So we transitioned to what they call an affiliate program. And we've got thousands of affiliates now and this is what I think is an interesting little hook. Many of them are people who have a hard time staying consistent with their own fitness. But now, by just being the simple thing as an affiliate, every time they post on Instagram, let's say, and they say, I did my workout today. I'm doing Morning Meltdown 100. I'm on workout 50. If you want to join me and do it, here's a link. Now, it keeps them accountable to doing their workout and gives them a financial incentive to post about it and stay on track, because their audience, their followers are like, wonder if Emily's going to really keep up with this. I wonder if she's going to finish this workout. And then they see you keep going and they're like, you know what? If she can do it, I can do it. So that's what the affiliate program does. And people are making some decent money with it. So it was a very difficult decision. And but I think the affiliate program is equally can be equally productive for the people who embrace it. And hopefully we'll have millions of affiliates helping tens of millions of people. And that's all we want to achieve.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And thank you for answering that, because I'm sure that was a question on a lot of the ladies listening's minds.
Mm.
And that's just the way it goes. I know I've seen a shift since 2020 in the health and wellness industry, because I've taught group fitness in person. I've moved more virtually. We've seen numbers go down over the years and live people taking classes. And it's just shift. And people are just so I think jaded by a lot of people are trying to get off of social media, but they're sucked in. They're trying not to, add the cart every time they see something as well. And there's just so much busyness and clutter and tabs open in our heads at all time, where
Yeah.
if you're able to simplify something in order to make it less challenging to get into a workout, I think, hey, I'm all for that for sure.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm sure that was a pretty hard decision for you,
Oh,
to say the least. And the last question I want to ask you, and if you don't mind sharing with our audience, I know a lot of the women I work with, have a lot of feelings of anxiety a lot of times. And what most of them might not realize, that you as a CEO making really big decisions like this, you have to overcome some anxious thoughts when this happens. So what are some habits that help you when you have some big decisions coming up, or you're feeling very anxious, to help calm that anxiety down for yourself?
couple things. One is to be careful of the drama that you let happen in your mind when you feel anxiety.
Mm.
So don't let the panic of, oh my gosh, I've got anxiety, create more anxiety. Anxiety or stress is a reaction to feeling threatened or feeling unsafe. So, what I would recommend and what I do is I look really deeply at, where is this coming from? What is the threat here that I'm anxious about? Is it that I'm concerned? Like for me, making this big decision, my big concern was, I've got thousands of people who are making their living with this business model who are going to hate my guts. But I also saw where it was headed, and it was going to die anyway unless we changed. So they were going to hate me either way. So I got to just make this decision because I have a mission to achieve. So you just have to look at, what am I protecting against? Somebody's opinion? Okay. That is not their opinion, is not helping other people get healthy and fit. I have to manage the business strategy that will lead to that. Okay, so that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, look at what your intention or mission is and realign to it. Because I think that, again, stress and anxiety comes from feeling misaligned or out of alignment with your value system.
Mm-hmm.
And again, for me, as ugly as a transition of changing business models can be, that decision was in absolute alignment with my values of helping people achieve their goals to lead healthy, fulfilling lives. Like I said, my dream was not to create the biggest multi-level marketing business in the world. My dream is to help tens of millions of people overcome the consequences of unhealthy lifestyle choices. So as lonely as that process can be, and as much anxiety can come from that, people are so liberated to criticize on social media. I just have to be above it. And that's what a leader does. I mean, you think about the issues that a president has, or the leader of big companies, or just like, it's tough to put yourself out there and try to lead and change. But if you're called to it, you do it. And check your motivation. And if it's aligned with your value system and you still subscribe to that value system, you should be good. And that is constant work. And that's constant work that I have to do too.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite questions or habits when I'm working with one-on-one clients is if they're having a lot of self-limiting beliefs or like anxious thoughts. A habit I always tell them to do is to stop and just ask themselves, is this true? Is what I'm saying about myself true? Is what so and so saying
Yeah.
true? And is it a fight against like who I am at my core and my values? And most of the time the answer is no.
Once you get in there, like what, like, so, worry and all that is just, it's these images, these scenarios that you're creating in your mind that are, so all of that is just up here. And if you can just let me pause that anxiety, that will all be there waiting for me. I'm going to pause it for a second. And for 10 minutes, I'm going to see the world, see that the clouds don't care, see that the trees don't care, see that the traffic doesn't care. Even look at life and death. Look at the people who either achieved such incredible things or did things that they should be ashamed of, and then they die and nobody really thinks about them again. So live your life and don't get so focused on your legacy or what the ultimate outcome is going to be, because ultimately, honestly, people don't care that much. It's just not affecting the world. So you got to run your game, run your life, and be very careful with the scenarios that you allow to infect your productivity and your well-being. And boy, that's something I wish everybody could learn, and a muscle that they could start to build, so that, because once you learn that muscle for yourself, I think you're less likely to attack somebody else, because you realize that they're just trying to figure it out for themselves too. And then I think there'll be a lot more kindness in the world.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, Carl, thank you so much for this conversation. We talked all things health and wellness, mental health, physical health, and the overarching theme I really see here is just finding what works for you and training for life, working those muscles in your head, your heart, your body, your soul, everything. So where can everyone connect with you, find out more about BODI and all things Carl Daikeler?
Well, I think the important thing is body.com, BODI.com. I'm on social media, but who cares? The whole point is, check out, you can go to bodypreviews.com, and that's where you can sample over 130 workouts for free. You can also do it on YouTube. And if you decide that there's one that you like, you can either subscribe to BODI, or you can literally buy the one that you like, and you've got basically lifetime digital access to a program like P90X or 21 Day Fix or Morning Meltdown 100. And just take care of yourself.
For sure. For sure. We'll make sure to link all of that in the show notes. But Carl, thank you so much for this conversation. It was great chatting with you.
Thanks, Emily. I really enjoyed it.
Carl, thank you so much for this conversation. I loved chatting with you. Friends, I don't bring a lot of guys on the show very often, but I thought Carl would bring such a great perspective with his decades of experience in the fitness industry, but also getting the male perspective as well. So let's talk about my three biggest takeaways from this conversation with Carl Daikeler of BODI. Number one, lifestyle should always come first before any supplemental health, in order to solve the inward problem, not just the outward. We get so focused on the exterior versus fixing internally what's going on. For me, fitness became a lifestyle once I shifted in my brain that this feels good. It's helping me lose the stress and anxiety and pressure I was putting on myself as a mom. It was giving me more energy. It was helping me be more patient. It was no longer just that quick fix mentality that diet culture had taught us for years growing up. If you're a midlife mom like me, it turned into a lifestyle, that training for life mentality. You're creating a meaningful life and experiences that your health allows you to do. So it's all about tiny, sustainable habits as you're getting started. For me, it was working out from home when I get started. And just look 10 years later how that has snowballed for me. So start small and try to find that shift in your brain where this is going to become a lifestyle for you, not trying to fix the exterior, but working on the interior. One way you can do that, my second takeaway from this conversation with Carl, is to do hard things. Now, you don't have to go do a cold plunge like Carl and I were talking about, but doing something hard could be as simple as going to a group fitness class. Sometimes that's really scary for folks their first time, or trying a new workout you've never done before, or you've been thinking about becoming a member of the Training for Life app and you're just going to do it and give it a shot and see what happens. But what you're doing is building mental resilience. Like I mentioned, I started with Insanity Max 30 on my journey, which was such an intense and hard workout. I wouldn't recommend that for everybody if you've never committed to a fitness routine or wherever you're at with your fitness level right now. But what that did, it's created a habit in me where every year I'm like, what can I do to challenge myself? And I'm still trying to figure out what that hard thing I'm going to do for 2025 is. But the more you do it, gosh, you're going to just build so much confidence and mental resilience. Stop seeking comfort and get uncomfortable. And gosh, I tell my kids this all the time, and we try to lead by example, my husband and I, as far as what we're doing. And we're seeing our kids push themselves and do really hard things and building that mental resilience for themselves as well. Just remember, they are watching. And lastly, when it comes to your stress, your anxiety, I know we carry that invisible load, right, ladies? Some days it feels really heavy. But I love how Carl mentioned, is anxiety or stress just a response to feeling threatened or unsafe? And where is that coming from? And you kind of have to take a step back and realign your habits and your way of thinking to your mission and your values. We always talk about this at the beginning of the year, creating a habit identity, right? Who do you want to be at your core? And allow your habits to support who you want to be. And when that negative self-talk starts creeping back in, a habit to do is to ask yourself, is this true? More than likely, it's not. And you can take that as a habit to do, create a habit loop around it. So every time that happens, you're able to talk yourself out of it. So you can see a lot what we talked about today, not just fitness trends, but in order to create sustainable habits, a lot of times it starts with your mindset. Training for life from the inside out, doing hard things, building confidence, and just making sure the habits that you're doing are aligned with your values and your habit identity. I loved this so much. Carl, thank you so much for this conversation. Like I said, I don't bring guys on this show very often, but I loved your perspective. Now, what does stay consistent through life is having a training for life mentality, not a fitness trend, but it starts with taking care of your health. No quick fixes, lifestyle habits instead that will serve you through all seasons of life in order to help you experience life, living a life you love, not hindered by your health, but elevated due to your health and your habits. Thank you so much again, Carl, for this conversation. Friends, I want to know what tiny sustainable habit you're going to implement from what we talked about today on this conversation with Carl, and how you are not going to subscribe to any more quick fixes, but rather a sustainable training for life mentality as well. Friends, I am rooting for you as always, and I'll see you in the next episode. I am so proud of you for listening to another episode of Habit Hack Your Health. I don't want you to just feel inspired, but I want you to go take action. To help you do that, go grab a free 7-day trial inside of the Training for Life app. This is habit-based fitness programming that you won't find anywhere else. a full fitness library with workouts programmed around what we need as midlife moms, and habit trainings and accountability community to help you stay consistent no matter what season of life that you're in. Go to trainingforlifeapp.com to start your free 7-day trial, and let's start training for life together. I'm so rooting for you, girl. I'll see you in the next episode.